Hey guys, welcome to the Nick Bahe YouTube page. You know what you need to do. You need to subscribe, you need to ring the bell, you need to like the page, you need to leave a comment. I appreciate you. We're ready, we're doing it. It's Sunday night. I have makeup all over my face because I was on TV on the Big Ten Network. Nebraska basketball emerged victorious. This is not a Nebraska-Arkansas Pine Bluff game recap pod. This is a Nebraska-Wisconsin recap pod. Nebraska lost 15-14. Couple of questions I have for you. I assume you were at the game.
First game I did not. I think first home game I didn't get to go to. Or maybe one of them. Yeah. So we ended up.
I figured you were going to go last home game of the year. You wanted to go support.
Didn't have a babysitter, so ended up being a dad had to stay home and.
Okay.
Yeah, it was fine. Early game. I did have to. It was funny. We didn't have. I had to try to sell tickets though.
I don't know how to do that.
I literally drove down there at 8 a.m.
No, you didn't.
In the cold.
No, you didn't.
Found
how does that work?
I found the scalper guy, like the guy that's what he does.
The scalper coordinator. He was like
this guy. He was like, this is what he does.
Really?
You know.
Okay, yeah.
There's usually 50 of these guys. There was like 2. So like you couldn't find. I thought you could just drive down. OQP 10th Street, and there'd be like 6 guys like, I need tickets, or selling tickets. And I couldn't find
one guy.
It was the one guy right by Memorial Stadium, and so I literally was like, you're trying to sell tickets, and he's like, he's going, bro, it ain't looking good. $6 online. I'm like, shit. But we got him sold. He wanted. We had good tickets.
He tried to go $6 for you.
He tried to tell me I'm not getting much for it, but he wanted those tickets. So
I never felt like, because Trevor, at one point, what is the legality of all that?
Of scalping tickets?
Yeah.
It's all good.
Because there always seems kind of like, it almost seems kind of like you in there doing some like, I got 2 in the balcony if you need it, but shh, don't tell nobody, no.
I'm trying to remember, was it like maybe like a Simpsons where like the first guy in line, like, I'll take 30,000 tickets. He bought every ticket.
It's like, he's like, can I pay you later?
Yeah. But I think that's where you'd worry about.
My God.
I think for the most part, scalping is like nobody cares.
Yeah. I mean,
you bought the ticket at some point
it's
to sell the ticket.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Without the express written consent of the National Football League. I didn't know if you braved it. Looked like it was cold in a mug out there.
I mean, it was cold. I was just, I was like, I had to trot down. I was like, you had to run almost to stay warm.
Oh, that had to have been brutal. That's a cold day.
My dad, was telling me because it was real cold. He's got all his hunting gear, so he stays warm. But he says most people don't. Yeah, I mean, most people don't.
Right.
But he said people stayed to the end, and it was a good game. So it was close. So.
But you at least got to. So we got our boys Mark Jones and RG3 again on the broadcast. Nothing crazy.
RG3's keys to the game, though. They're growing on me. I gotta be honest, they're growing on me
again. When at one point it was like an enormous part of the game, like in huge parts of the games, like RG3's eating a burrito at one point,
a big burrito,
and he was like, "This either make you feel good or make you go to the bathroom." And so I'm like, this is unbelievable.
He's had 2 lines now in 2 weeks that you're like, can you say that? All right.
Well, did you see
the fuzzy gloves?
The fuzzy gloves. Did you see the trivia question? They had to. They had to do the. Well, the one was it was the last 2 interim coaches. So the Aflac stepped it up, but then they gave RG3 name the 6 states that surround Nebraska.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he finally confessed that he had to Google it.
I mean,
it became him and Mark Jones. Where it was just like, we're in Nebraska. Who the hell knows where?
What's funny about Nebraska is, I think people from Nebraska, if you were to say, where is this state at in the United States?
Right.
We would get it if, maybe you mess up Vermont and New Hampshire, maybe. Or maybe it's like, is that Rhode Island? Or is that,
Yes.
That's where people may miss. People from the coast, if you say, where's Nebraska? Some of them will be like, they'll point to Arizona. They'll point to Oregon. I mean, it's unbelievable. And you don't want to call those people stupid to their face, but isn't that the same as being stupid?
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I get we're centrally located. We kind of have a better understanding.
Yeah,
but people, I mean, Nick, they don't understand. what's in the Midwest, what's down south, what's Texas, what's Arizona. Like,
how are you that off where people are like, what's Nebraska? Is that border New Mexico? It's like, what?
I mean, they must not know where anything is.
Yeah, but RG3, at least he was able, he Googled it and he was able to get the 6 states that surround it. But
with Google, it's hard to
it's hard to mess that up. But shouts out to RG3 and Mark Jones.
But see, here the thing, RG3 played at Baylor. You can't tell me you don't know what's around Nebraska because you play Kansas and Kansas State.
Yeah, come on.
You play Oklahoma.
How do you not have a general idea of?
Did he play Colorado or he must have just not played Colorado?
I can't remember now, but he's fantastic.
They're growing on me as a team. Growing.
Oh my God, they're just ridiculous.
I was so pumped when they were on.
Okay. I mean, the game was cold. It was the game ends. Wisconsin wins 15-14. I mean, Nebraska led 14-3 in the fourth quarter. This is, by the way, this is by far the least amount of prep I've done for a recap pod. So we're gonna kick back and let it rip here. Nebraska leads 14-3 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Wisconsin only led the game for 35 seconds and won the game. Nebraska gave up 15 points and still lost. It's Nebraska's 25th one-score loss since Frost took over, since he arrived. 25. Now, be honest. I always felt like Nebraska was not going to win. Even late in the game, as the game was progressing, when they were up late, I felt like, not only because Nebraska's lost 25 of those games, but also I just felt like the way Wisconsin was running the ball and the way Nebraska wasn't running the ball, it was just a matter of time before those two things reared its ugly head. Did you feel like...
I mean, I didn't feel like we were ever out of the woods. I mean, you felt good in the game. We shut them out at half. We had a lead. We had a lead going into the fourth quarter, which, when was the last time we've done that? Almost never, right? Yeah. It was weird. I watched that game. I rewatched just the fourth quarter, and I was just watching like our first down runs and just every decision of like what play we're going to run, who can't block. I just wanted to kind of go through that, and I just started thinking about that. And every time we're in a close game, is it mostly the fact that we can't dependably run the ball?
It's amazing you wrote that out, because I wrote close games ... Why is it all O-line?
O-line seems to be... I
wonder if it's that.
It seems to be, if there's anything, if there's one position group that we have to just say like, gosh, it just seems like if they don't go well, you can't come back for a win because you can't protect. Like in the last minute, every time we got to drop back, it's a sack. But then you can't close a game because you can't, we need to run.
Right.
We need to get a couple first downs.
Right.
So we can hand it off. And it's not like we couldn't even get like a 1 yard run.
No. We
were losing every, like first and 10, we'd lose a yard or two almost every possession.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable.
Yes.
And so then you go, nobody else does that. I've never seen that from other teams. Wisconsin, I mean, it's not even a thought in their mind.
Right. I think you and I over the years have talked about, and I do think multiple things can be true at once. I think for a while you and I have talked about how, Nebraska's lacked elite difference-making players, and that's led to some of the losses.
Yeah.
But I also think a lot of it can get whittled down to offensive line. I mean, I think one of the things, the telling one was Nebraska comes out onto the field in the fourth quarter, 4 minutes and 58 seconds left. They start at their own 10-yard line. They're up, what would it be, 14-9, right? And you're like, okay, 4 minutes and 58 seconds left, 4-minute offense. God damn it. Blow them off the ball. Let's get a first down or two. And now Wisconsin, who hasn't proven they can throw the ball, here we go. First play is a Anthony Grant 3-yard loss because he gets tackled immediately. Yeah. So now it's 2nd and 13, and you're at your own 7. And Grant actually has an unbelievable run to escape penetration to gain 6 yards. And then 3rd and 7, it was interesting. I didn't know. Did you think they should have thrown the ball there, or would you have run the 3rd and 7? They threw it. It was incomplete. So they ate about 90 seconds off the clock and punted it right back to Wisconsin. And then that becomes the touchdown drive that wins the game. But the 3rd and 7, would you have ran it? Would you have, what?
That's when I go back and forth on, because I was also feeling like our defense was at that point getting tired.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we needed to get a first down. I think I'm more frustrated that, like, it's 1st and 10 and we lose 2 yards.
It's 2nd and 13 from your 7 now.
Yeah. And so at that point, do you keep the clock running? Like, I think that's a coin flip play. I'm not going to get overly concerned, because at the moment I was like, God, I think we needed a first down here.
Right.
Like, if we're going to win, we need to keep the ball.
And the best way to do that is a throw. I mean, some people said, I heard some people criticize the play call. If you're going to throw something that you know it's like a screen, something that is going to, at least you're going to catch it and not stop the clock.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like getting the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you throw a bubble, or like they threw like it's kind of a difficult, they were like down the field routes. Kind of interesting. I mean, not, like I said, I don't want to get I think more than anything, that whole fourth quarter, like we were not a threat. We were not a threat. And that's the part where you got to be a threat.
Yeah. No, I really think this game, and it's not just, this game was kind of the microcosm of just really, really illuminating how the difference in this game was Nebraska's offensive line.
We were better than them at skill positions. Maybe, I mean, their running back, a little bit better than our running back, maybe.
I'd say the running back, I'd take Braylon Allen, a healthy Braylon Allen over Anthony Grant.
Yeah, but not by a ton, just by a little bit. Like, he's good. He's better.
But like, their tight ends, their wide receivers, I would take Casey Thompson over Graham Mertz. I would take, like, yeah. I think I texted you this. That's the worst Wisconsin team since Nebraska's joined the Big Ten. I mean, that is not a very good team.
Their defense didn't necessarily impress me that much in terms of like who they had, like skill guys. Like, I look at our defense and their defense, I'm like, call that a wash.
Yeah.
I mean, truthfully, call it a wash. I would thought they'd been better than they were. Maybe their defensive line was better than ours, but
right.
God, it was just felt like their O-line compared to our O-line was just so night and day different.
Yes. I mean, that's the game.
Gosh,
it's funny. It's just funny that's where your head went, because I thought, like, man, maybe this whole time I've gotten caught up, and I'm not wrong, and you're not wrong because you're with me, in the whole, like, you need more elite, you need an Amir Abdullah, you need a Randy Gregory. Those are the guys that win games, but, like, I'm just, the biggest problem this program has is its offensive line.
And it's gotten worse, though.
Yes.
Nick, that's the part that we got to be honest with, is you look at their lines from, last year and then the year before, like, I think they were better.
Right. And we thought those lines weren't good enough.
Yes. That's the problem, is like they're consistently getting worse.
And they can't it's not that they can't run the ball. I mean, they can't protect. Casey Thompson Nebraska only scored 14 points, but you watch that game and Casey Thompson is just like, he is so valuable. First of all, he ran like the most he's run all year, and he kind of ran tough, but like the play he made on 3rd and 7 inside the 15 to escape and hit Vokalek, and Vokalek then breaks a tackle, and then 2 plays later they hit Palmer for the touchdown. You're just like, God damn, Casey Thompson is a baller.
And maybe we need to talk about Casey right now, because if it's not clear that, like, this guy's a real quarterback, like, I don't know if he's a pro.
Yeah.
I just don't know if he's a pro, but he's a guy that, we're almost to the last game of the year, and it's an uncertain offseason. He has the opportunity to come back.
And he walked on senior day, but he said, if I'll come back, I'll walk again.
I mean, to me, it's like, God, I think you find a way to keep this guy, right?
Yes. I mean, there are a handful of, Jeter'd sleep with women and then give them, like, the gift bag of, like, a Jeter. Like, we need to give the Nebraska gift bag to, like,
give him a gift bag.
It needs to be like Hartzog, Hausman, Casey Thompson, Trey Palmer. Even you wonder where guys like Reimer, Garrett Nelson still has a year, I believe.
Yeah, and
with the COVID, like, those guys, you need to go get Jeter gift bag those dudes.
Well, I mean, this is it's so unique about this moment in time is, I think this is the first year where it feels like every team around the country,
Right.
It's free agency now.
Right.
Like true free agency about like more than last year even. I think it's like people are more organized and the national people are talking about, well, we don't know what's going to happen with this guy. Like he's like a junior that's like a starter and you're like, we don't know what's going to happen. It's like, what are you talking about?
I know.
Like,
right. I mean,
it's not like they're going pro. It's just like they might leave every year if somebody will pay him more. And you just go, oh God, that's free agency.
Yes. Well,
it's even true free agency.
Braylon, they ran the little thing on Braylon Allen in the game of people. Jim Leonard kind of accused certain teams of maybe tampering with and trying to lure Braylon out. I mean, it's you need to be thinking about that stuff.
If Trey Palmer doesn't go pro, I mean, Nick, every team in the country,
everybody's going to want that guy.
I mean, if you got to deal with like these Texas A&M's of the world to say, Trey, what about $1 million?
Right. Just come here.
What, like
you were cold as shit in that November game. Come to College Station. It's not going to be like that. And here's $1 million.
You just got the top ranked quarterback. Like that's the stuff they're.
I know you're going to be dealing with that stuff. I know. It's it's going to be interesting. I do think as we're kind of bouncing all around here. What's amazing about that game though is usually you and I turn on these mics after these games and we're like, oh, Nebraska can never catch a break. I actually thought that game,
every break,
Nebraska caught every single break. Wisconsin and the game did all it could to hand it to Nebraska. So couple of, first of all, the biggest one, one of the biggest one, the false start on Wisconsin's 3rd and goal at the 1 yard line where they have to settle for a field goal. Wisconsin also missed a 39-yard field goal. I thought there were 2 really, really shaky penalties on Wisconsin on Nebraska's touchdown drive in the second half to go up 14-3. The targeting call, I guess I'm lost because that also knocked out their best defensive player.
Yeah.
I'm confused on targeting because he hit him with his shoulder.
If you hit him in the head, so if somebody's sliding and you hit their head, even if it's with your head and in your shoulder, it doesn't matter if you hit their head.
I guess I always thought
you could hit him with your face mask on their shoulder pad,
right?
And you're probably not going to get a penalty. It's if you hit their head,
so it's
at any point.
Okay, because maybe that's on me. I felt like targeting initially was trying to get rid of the head-to-head.
It is
shots.
It is like crown of the helmet, head-to-head, or if they're defenseless. If you hit their head and they're defenseless,
right,
it's going to be a penalty.
It's just so hard. I don't know. I mean, because Hausman almost got. I mean. Graham Mertz had to go like Neo and get flat. I mean, Hausman came in.
I think Hausman kind of at the last
Hausman
second,
levitated at the last second, went David Blaine on him. But I don't know. That's such a hard situation. You played linebacker. Here comes Chase Daniel out of the backfield. You got to come down. You can't be like, hey, hold on, Chase, real quick. We sliding.
Some of my favorite plays were like when the quarterback, I'd hit him in the head with my head. Like, that was the idea. I mean, I'm taller too, so what am I going to drop down? Right. I'm hitting you in your head.
But it's also I would think that it's your big chance to here's the QB. This guy came out into the wilderness. You came out into the.
You want to knock him out. I mean,
yes.
You do. You want to knock him out of the game.
Right. And so it's a weird spot.
In the nicest way you can.
Yeah. I mean this with all sincerity. I want to knock your fucking head off, Chase Daniel. But
no ill will here, but I wanted you out.
I wanted you out of the game. But the 2 shaky penalties, the targeting call, I thought was bad, and it knocked their best player out of the game. The roughing the passer call.
Nick, we got every break. That game. I thought some of the calls, were not good. Everything went our way.
Braylon Allen got hurt. They had the one diving catch in the 4th quarter that they ruled a catch that I'm not sure I saw any replay that looked like it was conclusively not a catch.
Yeah.
That gets overturned. And it's amazing how we can't sit here and play the boy, Nebraska just couldn't catch a break card. Nebraska caught it seemed like every moment that could have gone one way or the other, it went Nebraska's way, and they still couldn't get it done.
And I think that's where bringing it all back to the offensive line. I think that seems to be, we thought it was just, we need a couple more ballers. We thought it was, name it, the quarterback needs to just be better and take care of the ball. Like maybe some of that was falling on Adrian where.
And again, that's not wrong.
The one thread that has not been good for 4 or 5 years now is like our offensive line can't protect, and then we can't run the ball when we need to. Like when you're down, you got to protect. When you're up, you got to run the ball. Seemingly, we don't do either when we need to do it.
Right.
Like we do it when we don't need to do it.
And I feel like it's a little easier for me to understand why, like for years up until like maybe the last couple where you've had a Teray and now a Palmer, but really it's easy to understand in Lincoln, Nebraska, how it would be hard to have a great crop of wide receivers, right? Like that's a position group that you can kind of go, well, probably hard to get those guys here, whatever. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me why Nebraska, like how or why is Nebraska's offensive line as poor as it's been? Because honestly, their recruiting rankings for their O-line like haven't been terrible. I guess I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know if it's a scheme thing, it's a coaching thing, it's a development thing, it's a Zach Duval thing. I don't know.
Nick, I don't know. Because seemingly we've gotten, like our two highest guys have been probably Corcoran and Teddy. Mm-hmm. And like they're probably the best we've got, but the other guys haven't been like that low in rankings. But I mean, like nobody else can really.
Right.
Nobody else seemingly is like what I would even call like average right now. Like they're playing below average football. And that's what's hard is like you can't find 5 guys over the course of 5 years that can contribute to be like a solid offensive line.
I don't understand it.
It's like
I don't understand it. Yeah, rushing yards. Wisconsin ran for, I think I wrote 235. Wisconsin ran for 235. Nebraska ran for 65. Again, time of possession.
That's
37 minutes, 23 minutes.
Think about that. So think about that time of possession. Like we have a lead the whole game, and we let them absolutely dominate the time of possession. You know, like I mean, to almost, it's, dude, that's the part that I'm trying to understand. Like big picture thinking, like why we never get that right.
I don't understand it either. And it really was on full display in that game. That game more so than they've been bad pretty much all year, but there was something about that game that just felt like, wow, this is the code red offensive line game.
Yeah.
Where Nebraska had no business losing that game.
Yeah.
And again, Nebraska's not even that good. But the one thing you got to like, the defense, it is now again, you can say, well, listen, man, when they needed to bow up and get a stop, they couldn't do it. I mean,
but here's what I'm saying. They did it for 3 quarters. Like you give them you get 3 quarters. You don't basically give up anything but a field goal in 3 quarters. It's like,
and
do something offense, like
their touchdown. Their 2 touchdowns were, tell you what though, Graham Mertz didn't do much, but he made 2 really big plays. Their first touchdown, the scramble, and he throws a laser. It actually felt like it was a pretty good pass rush, but that's a play where sometimes you just shake the other team's hand and go, great play. And then he makes the big play hitting their running back out of the backfield on the final drive. But like really outside of, it's hard to, they gave up 15 points.
They gave up 50 points and they gave up too much on the ground, I would say, but they didn't give up any like long runs. They gave like their longest run was that Braylon Allen like 20-yard run where he was like hidden. Our guy got.
It was a weird sequence.
Our guy just like lost his eyes and lost contain. The cornerback did, and he scored it out. But I mean, other than that, like they didn't get away. So you got to give our defense, like it wasn't like super impressive in the sense of they were just like destroying them. Like they were getting, I think, blown off the ball a little bit, but they didn't give up big plays. And if you don't do that, you bend and don't break. They miss field goals. All of a sudden, you got a 14-3 lead in the 4th quarter. Like you can't ask for more than that from this defense this year under these situations. And the offense, you got to like. You can't ask for more from the defense. You can ask for more out of the offense.
Yes.
Just be respectable running the ball. You just have to be respectable, just lining up, not allowing penetration, pushing forward for 2 or 3 yards, staying on track, giving yourself a manageable third down situation, and eating up clock. And I'm just like, it's not that hard.
No.
It's not as hard as they're making it look. Right?
I just, the defensive turnaround, and again, it's hard where it's like, well, Nick, they rushed for 265 yards. It's not that good. It's like, yeah, I hear you. I do. But
3 points in 3 quarters.
The last couple of games, I mean, from Purdue, they struggled. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But Minnesota, Illinois, Minnesota, and even Michigan, and now against Wisconsin, I can't really say that they're
making these teams earn they're making them earn it.
Right.
So it hasn't been beautiful, but they're making these teams earn it. And that's what I appreciate about it. Like when you make them earn it, like a 4-yard forward, like you better play mistake free. And so these teams like Wisconsin didn't play mistake free. Mertz throws the pick,
right.
Sets up our score. So that's a philosophy. You make them earn it. It's the hard way. Do it the hard way. And yeah, Michigan did. Good. Yeah. Good for you, Michigan.
Right.
But we're also like, that's where our offense has to come to the party.
It's just, it's I don't know, that game, I found myself, I think I texted you this, that game, of all the games that have happened, that was the most, like it happened, the game ended, and I just kind of felt nothing, just because I think we talked about the Adam Sandler click thing of like, at this point, especially with like, I've seen enough of this situation.
Yeah.
But here's what's hard is I also don't want to disrespect the guys on defense that are fighting their ass off. And even like a guy like Casey Thompson, who's hurt and fighting his ass off.
Casey's fighting.
So there are some guys that are fighting, but it's at the point where I think there are a lot of people that are just like, just who's the new coach going to be? I'm ready for the next iteration, next version of Husker football to occur ASAP. And so it was a weird game to watch. You feel like you've watched it a million times and you get numb to it, and I'm just ready for what's coming next here. And I mean, a week from today, we're taping this on a Sunday night. I mean, there's a chance we know a week from right now who the next coach is.
Yeah.
There's a chance that that's a reality.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't know how they don't go one, it'll be Black Friday game. Most teams are going to be playing on that Saturday.
Right.
To me, if it's not announced by Saturday night, or at least it's not out they probably, by that Sunday, the announcements you think they're bringing the coach in on Sunday.
Yeah, you would assume.
Yeah.
You would assume there was an announcement. Mark Stoops got an extension, so cross him off the big board. Kleiman is close to getting an extension. I don't know if that actually got finalized or not.
Probably he would be, because he's got the AD there. I think that's where
he might be off the board. Boy, Dave Aranda and Baylor almost pulled off a great win against TCU.
Oh, they didn't pull that one out?
No, TCU, you should watch the end of that game. TCU had an unbelievable, with the clock running, they ran their field goal unit out, got set, and kicked a field goal to win the game. Like, it was pretty impressive. So, yeah, because we talked about how it's been so quiet. We haven't seen these extensions for these coaches. But yeah, you would think by Sunday, I would think by at the latest Monday, there's an announcement.
At the latest.
The latest, this thing's got to move pretty quick. With, Hausman and Hartzog, we've talked about this a little bit. Like, those two dudes, like, you got to find a way to hold on to those two guys.
Well, Ernest is a Columbus kid. So to me, it's like, I don't see Ernest being like the type that wants to go into free agency. Just the fact that, like, I just think, like, if you're from Columbus, Grand Island, Kearney, or North Platte, or Hastings, like, you're sticking with Nebraska.
Right.
So, but isn't it amazing though? Just the last two games, like, Ernest Hausman's stock went like ching, like.
I know.
You can see in him that dude's, he's going to be a player.
Yes, I know, because you weren't. I mean, it's hard early on. You could tell he was just a freshman. You could tell
he's 18. He did. It was like, I can't. Your eyes are big, but I mean, he's playing against Michigan. He's playing against Minnesota, Wisconsin. He's looking great.
Anything else with the game that we're missing? did you feel like? I mean, I get Whipple's kind of the whipping boy of the moment. I don't think. I mean, listen, I'm not. I don't love how he calls plays. I also kind of feel like you see this offensive line. I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure what to think.
I just think.
And it feels like a waste of time because it's like right now, like I can get up in arms over certain things, but it's like, well, this is all coming to an end in a week anyway.
Yeah, in
so
a week,
whatever.
I mean, it is. I just think what we've learned from this year is like, if your offensive line isn't really good, like a great pass block, it's hard to even.
What play are you going to run? You tell me.
I mean,
for all the and
we want to throw it, but we
it.
can't protect either. So it's like I just feel like we're not giving ourselves a chance to win by the way we play or something, and that's where I'm kind of struggling.
I know, and listen, he can. I think his play calls don't help that.
Yeah,
but at the same time, like, okay. And we're guilty of it. We've ripped on some of Whipple's play calls. Like every armchair offensive coordinator right now, couch offensive coordinator, like what plays you want to run?
Yeah, we don't know.
Run the ball. Well, they can't.
Yeah, we don't know better than Whipple, but it's also we just talked about philosophy. It's like this guy likes to throw the ball.
Yeah,
he wants to throw it. Running it feels like a burden to him.
I felt more critical of him when Casey Thompson's not in the game and you're still calling plays like Casey Thompson's in the game. Then I think I can become armchair Nick. My couch offensive coordinator Nick can come out and criticize. But when Casey Thompson's in the game,
yeah, I don't know.
Their best chance to ever move the ball and score is with Casey throwing it.
Yeah, we can look, if we did the revisionist history of this season. I mean, there's a couple games we probably can go. Do we win if we just especially when we could score,
right?
And we weren't, I don't know, we weren't thinking big picture. Those are the ones that'd be.
It is amazing for how flawed this team is. They should have beat Northwestern. It's hard to play the shoulda, coulda with Georgia Southern, but like they still were right there.
Yeah.
They should have beat, like if Casey Thompson doesn't get hurt, they easily could have beat Minnesota and Illinois. Mm-hmm. And they easily should have beaten Wisconsin. And I think this team is not good. That's why, something I wrote down I wanted to ask you. I have a bunch of different things as we'll kind of bounce around as we'll wrap this thing up. What has this season done for the timeline of expectations of the new coach? Because there's a lot of different ways you can go with that. If you view it on only focusing on Nebraska, you could go, boy, they got a long ways to go. You got to rebuild the offensive line. You got to rebuild the defensive line. That takes time. Got a long ways to go. But I also think you could shift the focus to what's around Nebraska. And I think, now granted, the divisions aren't going to last forever here with UCLA and USC coming in. I think the Big Ten and the Big Ten West seems as weak as it's ever seemed to me. Like, I don't think outside of Ohio State and Michigan, and I could throw Penn State in there a little bit, I think all these teams are like painfully average.
I mean, the offenses are terrible. I mean, it's pretty amazing how bad the offenses are in the Big Ten West.
It's unbelievable.
It's bad. It's really not good.
I mean, Iowa's going to win the division. I was going to go, and that's, I also think, like, I did kind of laugh at everybody that was ready to, people were ready to fire Ferentz and write up his obituary and run him out of town in the middle of the year. And it's like, he won the Big Ten West last year. He's going to win it again this year.
Yeah, because they do what they do, and it's a winning formula. It's not pretty. It's ugly as
this offense is like especially horrific.
Yeah,
but anyway, so I guess back to the question, what has this season done? Like, do you feel like, boy, you really got to pack your patience and it's going to take a while, or are you the other way now?
I mean, so 5 years ago we thought if it doesn't work with Frost, it's not going to work with anybody. I think we've all come around and be like, that's not true. It can work with somebody else.
Yes.
And you would think that right now they would be, we need 5 or 7 years to build something. The reality is the Big Ten West is down.
Yeah.
And this NIL portal thing, you kind of can get a dang near new team every year if you really do it. I mean, Michigan State is an example. Illinois is an example of like
yes.
you bring in a coach, and in 2 years, like Illinois
was this close to going to winning the West this year.
Yeah, I mean they've lost a couple close games here in the last few weeks that have
flipped it.
Yeah, flipped it. But I mean they were in control for most of this year, and they're an example of like the right coach. You get a couple of good players in the right spots. Good defense, good line, and play smart, good football. Like you're in every game, a chance to like win a bunch of games in a year. And Nebraska's not, you add a few pieces to this team and you'd think, gosh, we could win.
Help me out with the right analogy on this, because here's with the new world we live in with the portal, things can change fast, like you're pointing out. But here's what doesn't change fast is your offensive line.
Probably true.
So
what's the portal like? What's the amount of portal players that have been off? I feel like it's way, way, way less.
Like, what's some store where you can go in there and you can go to the portal store and you can find you a Trey Palmer. You can find a Casey Thompson. You can find maybe even a pass rusher. There are certain guys you can go in there and find, but what don't exist in abundance in the portal are difference-making offensive linemen. You got to do that yourself. So I don't know. It's like it's like a pizza topping store where it's like, when you got to make the dough and bake the dough yourself. We got all the toppings you need in here, dog. Yes, you need any toppings?
We sell toppings. Sell tons of toppings. Now the dough's another story.
We ain't got the dough.
We ain't got the dough. But if you want topping, pepperoni, you got the cheese, peppers. We do the Hawaiian thing,
We got the Canadian bacon, we got the pineapple, we got mushrooms, onions.
Sir, you don't have the dough, sir.
It's like, no, we ain't got the dough.
No, we do not have the dough.
I ain't got time. You think I can just give you the dough?
What, dough growing trees?
But that's kind of that's where it's hard. Because I sit here and a part of me wants to say, man, I look at the rest of the West and I think about the portal.
So
and I think, man, this thing can flip in a hurry. But it's the pizza store where it's like, you got to do the dough yourself.
Because I'll say this. I don't know if you've watched.
The dough being the offensive line.
Yeah, and even a little bit of dough on the defensive line.
On the D line,
Let me tell you something. You got to make a little bit of D rolls, too. The D, they're not pieces. They're the rolls.
They got, yes.
The crescent roll.
You got to get the breadsticks with the pizza. You got to do all that yourself. But that's
got to get your own dough. But see, when we brought in a couple, portal transfers in the defensive line, interior, and the drop off when Robinson and Feist come out, it's like you can almost guarantee they can run the ball on us as soon as those guys went out. And we thought, oh, look what we got. The D line, the off season. Look what we did award went to Nebraska again. The reality was we were buying toppings and we never made
you can
the
buy
dough.
Maybe they have dough in there, but it's like, you sure you want the dough?
Dough. That might be.
This dough right here got a mold on it. That dough. There's a reason
dough looks gluten-free to me.
But that's the analogy, though. So that's what I struggle with moving forward. It's like, I am confident every year you can go into the portal and find you a Samari Torre, a Trey Palmer.
Yeah.
You're going to find good enough pizza toppings.
Yeah.
But without the dough, the foundation of, in particular, the offensive line, but also the defensive line, there's a non-negotiable level of amount of, you got to go to the ingredients, you got to roll it, you got to do it, you got to bake it. It takes time.
Yeah. Sometimes, my wife was making these certain kinds of rolls, and you had to let the thing sit out over, let it rise overnight. I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, you gotta let the bread rise. I was like,
but that's,
I didn't,
that's it.
lineman. It's going to take the 3 years of development, and I mean, here's the other thing with linemen too. Is especially off, they're a unit. They're kind of they seem less likely to transfer to me because it's they work as a unit.
That is true.
So to leave the unit, you're kind of like a traitor.
Yeah, it's rare that there'd be a mash. Think of in 95 or Uyghur just leaves. I feel like all those guys would be like,
I was just thinking Oregon State was the place for me.
I will find you and I will kill you. I have a very particular set of skills. I mean, basically, if an offensive lineman leaves, the rest of the O-line becomes Liam Neeson in Taken.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to go bring him back. And rescue him. That's not happening.
But you're right. Like, and it's weird. The O-lines, there's this weird, you very rarely see one guy is just like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, especially not if he's a good player. Like, that's kind of, so, I don't know, maybe things will change. The thing about this portal season, it's like, I feel like it's been like a 2-year process to where like everybody's got their ducks in a row. Like, everybody's got their companies. They got their NIL pools. They got like, it's known. It doesn't feel like it's as dirty as it maybe felt 2 years ago or a year ago.
What are the transfer portal windows? Like, there's these new transfer portal windows too, where it's like December 5th is when like the portal opens, or something. I'm trying to get the timeline, but that's the other part of it.
Transfer windows, which will go into effect in the time of the 2022-2023 season, will allow 60 days per year for the athletes to enter the transfer portal and maintain immediate eligibility for first-time transfers. Oh, so first time. At least I think that's good first time, because if you do that every year, that's insane.
It's a disaster. But
split into 2 periods. Okay.
But you're right. So for me, and I don't even know what this topic really tackled, but for me, I'm like, I can look at Nebraska and think, man, they have a long ways to go. But then at the same time, I can look at the rest of the Big Ten West and kind of go, man, this division is so not that good. And so that makes me think that Nebraska can get it going relatively quick. But then I think about the non-negotiable level of time it's going to take to build up the trenches. Yeah. And it makes you go, well, maybe this is maybe it is a 2 at the earliest. Because even for as good as Bielema and Leipold, boy, did they get it going. They're still going to win like 6 or 7 games. And at this point, that would be exciting for Nebraska,
Terribly.
But which is crazy to say out loud. The other thing I wrote down, biggest surprise. I wrote this down like a week ago. Biggest surprising things with this season, because I kind of feel like once this game hits, we're gonna take this season and we're gonna like put it in a thermos and go like bury it in like this New Mexico sand somewhere and just be like, we're done with this thing. Like Walt and Jesse would hide like money out in like the middle of or a body out in the middle of nowhere. We're going to forget about it. So like biggest surprising things this season. Thing I wrote down first, just the fact that Frost was fired 3 games into the season. And then most importantly, how unanimous the decision was. Like the way I'm trying to frame this is like things that if someone would have told you at the start of the year, you'd have been like, wow.
I mean,
you have to start there. It was unanimous.
So the Vegas odds for Frost getting fired before the buyout clause was done in October, whatever,
October 1st.
That was like, it seems crazy. It would have been crazy talk even a month before the season. Crazy talk.
Yeah.
When it happened, it didn't seem quite as crazy. And then like as time goes by, you kind of went, yeah, whatever.
I don't know what would have surprised me more, that it didn't work with Frost, or that it was so unanimous for him to be fired.
Well, it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't obvious to me for 4 years.
No, and I know, but I'm saying when it came time to make that call, even 2 staunch Frost supporters were like, got to do it.
You couldn't argue anymore. Like that's why it was. Like
you had no had to be more arguments.
You couldn't argue and you couldn't defend anything anymore because it became obvious.
Right.
It was non-obvious for 4 years, even though a lot of signs were pointing that direction. It just wasn't clear to me.
Right.
And then it just became clear. And that's, but yeah, I think
you have to start there.
Yeah. The if you're looking at the biggest surprises, the fact that he got fired that early, no question, was shockingly surprising.
And this is shame on me, because I mean, I'm also the guy that put Omar Manning in my top 5 most important Huskers in his first year on this. So God. I buy into things like that. But I really, really bought into this pass rush. I really thought Mathis, Caleb Tanner, and Garrett Nelson would be legit. They rank they rank 93rd in the country in sacks heading into this weekend. Like I I'm pretty surprised at their lack of impact.
And they're not bad players. That's the part that's interesting about them. Like Nelson's been he's been a really good player. Mathis has been fine. He hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been productive.
Yeah.
He hasn't changed the game at all. And that's the part that's...
I forget he's even out there half the time.
He's not out there as much. Tanner plays over him in the crunch time plays. He's a rotational defensive end. He was never the game changer. I mean, Nick, we want him back. You want Mathis back.
Yeah.
That you do. It's just though we had built. I mean, Mathis Had Sacks was the song of the year. You've reserved that for. I want to Rex you up.
Yes.
Like rush with Sue.
Yeah.
Like you. That's
I wrote a song about it.
That's high praise.
Yeah.
High praise.
I know.
You don't just write anybody a song.
No, I'm not doing that.
Trey Palmer got to go.
I know he didn't get a song, but Mathis got a song. So I would say I was surprised at that.
Yeah.
How good and how valuable Casey Thompson is. I remember we did one of our preseason pods, and we wrote down like biggest questions or whatever. And you wrote down one of the questions of like, how good is Casey Thompson?
I didn't know. I didn't know.
At the start of the year, we all asked the question, are we sure Casey Thompson's good?
Okay, now here's a tougher question. And I will say this. Do you think he's better than Adrian? I'm going to say yes.
And maybe I am just like, you're always going to be prisoner of the moment with that. He's a better, I trust him throwing the ball more.
That's how I feel. I feel like if the game's on the line and him and Adrian are standing there and I go, who's taking the ball? I'm giving it to Casey Thompson. And they're close. It's not that
because what Casey give, like they both, Casey can do things that Adrian can't, and Adrian can do things that Casey can't.
Yeah,
in terms of running and all those sorts of things. But yeah, I feel like I'm leaning towards. I mean, just the thought exercise for people listening. It's 2 minutes left. It's a tie game. You're getting the ball at the 20-yard line. You got to go 80 yards against a good defense. You're the coach. Casey Thompson and Adrian Martinez are standing right in front of you.
Who do you pick to take the team out to win that game?
I think I'm taking Casey Thompson.
That's what I'm saying. The longer this year went on, I just feel it's a gut thing. Adrian's winning down. He was winning down at Kansas State. Like he's proven that he can win against quality teams in the right situation. I just think Casey has shown me the ability to make throws under pressure, under any circumstance, and I go, wow, pretty impressive.
Yes,
and with an O-line that's arguably worse than what Martinez was dealing with some bad lines.
This one's worse than
anything. One's worse than that.
Yes.
And Casey's taking shots. He's hung in there. I think Adrian's tough. I think Casey's tough. But Casey, I just think has a different sort of demeanor that I think that's my kind of guy.
Right. And again, let's not. Casey Thompson hasn't been Joe Montana, but he's pretty damn good.
He's been good.
We were heading into the year. We weren't out on Casey Thompson. We just were like, are we sure?
Because Adrian set a pretty good bar. You know, it was a pretty good bar, but it was a bar with a lot of losses. Which
that's
made
what
it
he's
hard.
got going against him is like we also have Casey. The hypothetical scenario. It's like, well, we saw Adrian in that scenario lose 20 times.
Yeah.
So naturally, you'd hand the ball to, but it's also not just about the track record of Adrian. It's about just what I see and feel with Casey.
Yeah.
So
but Casey hasn't won that much either. I mean, in the end, Casey's won. He's won 3 games.
Yeah.
So I mean, he hasn't won that much more. But I feel like the start of the year was the defense's fault. We lost 2 of those games that were just like the offense did their part, and then he got hurt against Illinois.
He got hurt against Illinois.
Yep. So then he misses 2 games there, but for the most part, he did his job against Purdue too.
Yeah.
He did his job against Purdue. Oklahoma was the letdown game, but then he beats Indiana and he beats Rutgers. So, it's like the games that we lost. I think he's earned probably 6 wins with his performance this year.
Right.
And the defense was just so bad in those games.
Other things that have been surprising. I gotta just mention it one more time. Frost onside kick up 11 in the third quarter in the Northwestern game. Like it's on the short list, and it's not like I have a top off the top of my head. I can't. It's one of the worst coaching decisions I've ever seen in my life.
It cost him his job.
Yeah.
If he doesn't make that kick, I mean, maybe we win, maybe we don't win, but we probably win, and he doesn't get fired until
it maybe in October or something like that.
It's going until October.
Yeah.
That kick sealed his fate probably.
Yes.
It put it in a microwave, and then he about loses North Dakota, then loses to Georgia Southern. I mean, it was over.
It was done.
Yeah.
It was done. I've been surprised at Mickey Joseph becoming a viable candidate for the job. And listen, he still might get it, but imagine someone telling you in July, hey, a lot of fans are going to want Mickey to be the head coach in 2023. And when even when Trev announced him as the interim coach, in that moment, I did not ever think he was a real candidate. And maybe he's not. Like, you know what's funny about this is we assume that he is. Maybe Trev in his office is like, I never have considered this guy. And maybe, I don't know.
But you have to take him seriously after the fan reaction, though. I mean,
right.
like, in the end, like, you're never going to look at how the fans feel and not take it seriously. And I think Trev probably feels that way. Here's what's hard is usually interim coaches take over later in the year.
Right. They give him 3 games.
Yeah. And then it's just like, it's a patchwork. And I would have probably said, who are they going to give it to? Probably Whip, because he's the most experienced and has been a head coach. Like, this is before the season. You would have said that maybe. But Mickey was assistant head coach, right? And it was such an early firing that Mickey actually had this, like, for a guy that had no head coaching experience at the college level, he all of a sudden got this real job interview. So, like I said, maybe it was...
Yeah, there's a little bit of that. It was a unique set of circumstances.
But the circumstances were so unique that Mickey's moment became something bigger than what it could have been at the end of the year.
Very, very
you know
much
what I'm saying? Like, if you got 3 games to go,
there just wasn't enough time for people to get Mickey fever.
Up. Yeah, it had so much time that Mickey almost had got to have a whole Big Ten season.
Yeah.
He got to have the whole season to be like, this is my resume as a head coach. And the hype train took off after Oklahoma, right? I mean, it was big.
Yeah. Lose
to Oklahoma, but then we win 2 games and everybody was like, it was being flipped right there where it was like, but then you just, we haven't won since. And then that sort of like is put a damper on it. But it is a unique circumstance, I think, that put Mickey in the position to go on this like meteoric, like Nebraska popularity rise. Like, boom, like,
because I didn't think, especially the fact that we being Nebraska media fans, like it had just had a former Husker come back and be the coach. I guess I just didn't think that former Husker thing would have as much pull on people's emotion as it would. It'd be like, you were dating a cheerleader. You've always wanted to date a cheerleader. You broke up with her, and then there's another cheerleader, and you're just as excited. Like, dude, I'm dating a cheerleader. It's like, dude, you just dated a cheerleader.
Nick.
You know what I mean?
I'd say, Nick, great decision.
But I was surprised. I was like, hey, he's a former player. It's like, well, you just had that. And I just was surprised how quickly people like got swept off their feet again by like, yeah, remember when I played? And people are like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's
so whatever.
I don't know. We can go deeper on that.
The other thing I was surprised, the enormous step back on defense early on. Like, it's just amazing to me the side of the ball that carried Nebraska last year being so bad. Remember how bad they were against Georgia Southern, how bad the tackling was. How Georgia Southern hung 45 points, over 600 yards. Guys wouldn't be touched. Guys would go untouched.
Those first 4 games, I mean, there was just something just terribly wrong with that. I mean, and Chenander did a good job the last
year. But it is wild.
I think he got better as a coordinator as the years went by. And then something happened. I almost feel like, if I had to guess, he was improving each year as a coordinator. And I feel like the other coordinators that he played this year figured him out.
That honestly,
you know what I'm saying?
that's what let's go to, because that's kind of what it looked like.
Yeah, like he didn't get worse as a coordinator in terms of like, he's learned more and gotten better at things. But I also think they saw what he did and they said he's still doing that.
Right, because there were numerous, when I talk about,
we're going to attack him like this. And he didn't adjust.
Right.
He just couldn't do it.
Because there were, some of the untouched stuff was bad tackling, but some of the stuff was like, man, perfect play call given what the defense was. Like, it just seemed like Nebraska was getting schemed.
We were. And
Bad.
we were he became predictable to the coordinators he was going against. And it became like, it became obvious to me that we're not,
right.
we're not causing doubt in this coordinator and quarterback's mind. They know they're going against.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
When you see that, and our fans, I think, could see it, you get like a helpless feeling. You're like, it doesn't matter what you call, they know what you're in. You know, where the thing you got to give this defensive staff now and Coach Bush. And the staff is, they've adjusted, and they haven't been world beaters, but they're playing ball. They're keeping people out of the end zone, and they're making them earn it. And that's what Chins wasn't doing this year. His defenses were they were not making anybody earn it. Those guys were just picking us apart.
But it just is amazing to really think about the same group of guys that you saw on the field against Georgia Southern early on, like, then go do what they did against Wisconsin on. Not that it was an amazing performance, but because that's the other thing I wrote down, just like very rarely in 1 year does a unit or a side of the ball go from laughably bad to actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
Like, I think I remember, I might have even said it on the pod, joking when Chenander was fired, like, hey man, you could give Bill Belichick and Nick Saban this defense and it ain't going to matter. That's what it appeared like to a certain extent.
It did.
So you got to probably, within this one, you got to probably acknowledge Bill Bush and the job he's doing that you kind of said, like, but it's just, and then even the within that, the tackling, just like, I'm amazed at, remember how when Frost first got here, how he would kind of look down his nose and be like, I can't believe how soft this place got, and how and then it got fit. Like, Nebraska was like much more physical, and then for it to just fall apart in this last year initially. Now they're a lot more physical now. The tackling's gotten better. Yeah. I really haven't seen too many bad missed tackles in a while.
Not recently. No, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot to it. I think. I also think we probably do better in cold weather.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, because it just slows games down. It's harder to throw. And, it's been a mucky couple of weeks, but like, it's been actually better for this defense. I think they were struggling in, wide open heat. I know it was early in the year,
right,
and we were being picked on. They were scheming us. And, so I think there was a lot of things that went wrong, but yeah, you got to give him credit for at least battling back under the circumstances. And
yes.
Yeah. So,
I will say the things that I'm not all that surprised about is the offensive line struggling. I was concerned about that heading in. I wasn't sold on Raiola heading in, so I'm not too surprised on that.
Yeah.
The defensive line struggles. That position was thin. Losing Snack still in Rodgers. You knew it was going to be a problem. And then I also would say I'm not surprised that special teams got to where it's respectable. You figured with Bush coaching it initially, with all the new specialists, it would get back to where it's not a laughingstock.
We have not had we had one blocked.
One punt blocked.
We had one punt blocked. We have not had a field goal blocked.
Had an extra point blocked.
We did. We had one. Okay. But really, no kickoff returns.
No. Punt returns still. It's more the punting and the field goal kicking that have been. I mean, Connor Culp got to where it was just like, I mean, he was on the bus stop and the water was just splashing him after every single game. Like, Bleak Road has made pretty much a lot of his kicks. Buschini has punted it okay for the most part.
Let me ask you something about our boy Martin back there. Is he not allowed to return it? I mean, I'm serious. Has he returned one?
Has he returned a punt this year?
Only fair catches. Like, this is what I don't understand. This, like,
don't get me started on this. I have gone on
many
a
game
rant
of football. Like, it's a whole season goes by and you don't try to return one. You can't tell me there's not opportunity. There was one, he caught it on the 10 that last drive in the fourth quarter. He had 10 yards to make a move.
Right.
Get the ball and get out, get 15 yards, get them out of their own end zone. Like,
I swear he's back there too. Because there are times when they trot they trot Trey Palmer back there at times.
Palmer's there to return.
So it's almost like they're telegraphing what they're like. If Martin goes back there, it's fair catch.
But he's back there most of the time.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, I just find it like, you can't tell me he's not good enough to catch the ball and make a move and run. Like, why doesn't he do it? Like, why is he like, do they tell him not to? Is he
explicitly told don't do it?
I wonder if they say most of the time, just fair catch it. We don't, but see, that's such a, like, I don't know.
Well, that's why I will say, back to the game, Tommy Hill returning the last kick was probably the wrong move. You probably would rather have him fair catch it, save the time.
Make a play.
Why am I like,
he wants to make a play and you respect it because it takes guts. It takes guts to want to make a play that's kind of a scary play too.
Of all the things that have been maddening this season and make you go crazy, like the one shining bright spot, I enjoy every kickoff with Tommy Hill so much. I mean, he should be. I shouldn't like love the guy because like he started as a corner. He struggled so much that they moved him to the other side of the ball. Now they've just said, just return kicks. And he's like, I will return. Not only will I return kick, I will return everything.
You want to talk about part of the defensive problem? Tommy Hill.
I was gonna say, you know what? One of the big adjustments was
get him off the field. Yeah.
As sad as that is to say.
I mean, he didn't get it.
No. I think he wanted to I think we've said, like, he struck me as, like, he was an offensive-minded guy playing defense, and it just doesn't work if that's the case. You play defense like, now you were a guy, the other thing I loved about you as a defender is, like, your mindset was like, I'm going to go get the ball.
Yeah, you should think that way.
I love that about you, where it's like, you would go try and get the ball, but you also were, like, willing to do the meat and potatoes, like, okay, I got to set the edge here, I got to go, like, hit a guy.
Some people, I don't understand, like, this is the game. It's like, part of the game is like,
get the ball.
None of the other stuff matters. If you get the ball, it doesn't matter. Right? You want to go play 6 more plays or just get the ball out now? Like, get the freaking ball out.
I love it. That's why you're my favorite player of all time. That's so good.
People don't think about the game. They don't think through things like that.
But Tommy Hill, I mean, again, it's probably on paper, every analytic would be like, our studies show that you are supposed to fair catch that. But I don't know. Tommy's like, well, what if I'd have returned it for a touchdown?
But see, if he could have got to like the 40-yard line, to me, it's worth that potential, because then you just have to get.
If he hits the portal, I'm going to be sad.
I don't know.
Just because I want him back. I want that guy returning kicks for the rest of my life.
Okay,
selfish reasons.
Let's talk portal talk. Trey Palmer, I don't know where his pro stock is. I feel like after that one game, it was like he's first round, but now it's like this reality.
At this point, it was just like, who would you rather have? You could either have Jerry Rice, Randy Moss, or Trey Palmer. Who you taking? You'd be like,
I mean, it was tough. He had a big game.
Oh, he was unbelievable.
He's human. But Trey Palmer, Casey Thompson, Anthony Grant.
Palmer.
Those are 3 guys that have eligibility, right?
I don't know if Grant does.
Does he not? Because
I'm so hard with COVID. Like, COVID's like becomes like algebra. They'd be like, A squared plus B squared equals 1 more year. I don't, for some reason, I don't think, but did he walk?
I don't think so. I think he's got another year. You can't tell me with COVID that everybody can't go.
It seems like everybody's got another year.
Kind of amazing. You could just keep playing forever.
I don't know, but yeah, okay, he might.
Okay, let's just say this, though. Between
Palmer, Casey Thompson, Grant, Hartzog, I'm with you. I think Hausman, you feel like you could be like, what if we offered you a cheese runza? He'd be like, I'm staying. But
I mean, Reimer's
if you're from
coming
Columbus,
back.
Nebraska, it's like, where are you going to go?
Reimer,
Kearney?
yeah. You're staying
I'm
here.
transferring to UNK.
But I mean, let's say the linebackers are back. Nelson is an interesting one because Nelson technically has an extra year. And I don't know what Nelson's stock is.
I think the big thing, he'd have to be a you'd be drafting, if you're going to draft Nelson, you're drafting him to rush the passer.
See, he's kind of a tweener on the NFL level because he would not be an NFL pass rusher.
And
he's not really an NFL linebacker either. He's sort of, that's where he might be a guy that could make hundreds of thousands of dollars next year in Nebraska.
Yes.
And I think he's a guy that you could convince to obviously come back. He could be a team captain.
Nelson makes the list.
O'Shawn Mathis, all signs before the year pointed to him not coming back. He was just going to try to go pro. But
would he test well? Would he be that guy that would go put on spandex and people would be like, holy smokes, look at the butt on that?
Yes. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how well he tests, but he's 6'5". He's got 6'5" long arms. And
that's why I just don't know. I could see him going out there and seducing people. Like,
yeah, he's a guy that probably is like a mid to late round draft pick, but he's a guy that can also improve his stock if he had a good year. So,
is he making the list? He's making the list.
Oh, I think he's making the list because Tanner's out, and then Ty Robinson I think will be coming back, which we actually really need him to come back.
Make sure we make a note to talk to Ty. Okay, got him on the list.
And then you got the DBs, I think
Hartzog's got to come back.
He's going to come back. Farmer will be back.
What about Newsome?
He's
got a year.
He'll probably be back. Yeah, he'll probably be back.
Let's write it. Let's have him make. You need. Newsome's
guys,
not Darrell Rivas, but like
you want him back.
Yeah, I'd
Buford will be back. He got hurt.
By the way, they wouldn't show. It must have been so bad they wouldn't show it.
Yeah, was it?
Was it his ACL or did he break his? Because it didn't look like his leg was in an air cast.
He didn't look like he was hurt.
He looked like incredibly happy to be carted off the field.
I think he's one of those guys that he's real tough and he's like, I don't feel pain, whatever. You know, he was acting like that.
I mean, yeah,
he was out there like
he was at that point. He was just like, I'm going in for Coco. Yeah. Hot Coco. You understand me? It's so fucking hot. Like, what was that? He seemed so. It was like someone was like, we got Coco, and he's like, step.
Well, they love. I mean, all the coaches love him. He's one of those guys. That makes me
all right. Yeah. I'm in on Buford. I don't know why. I mean, he's making the list, even though I don't even know what this list means. This list is our super secret. We got to make sure.
We got to make sure we keep these guys.
We have to say, come on, don't leave. Come on. Okay, so Buford makes the list.
Yep.
Like Fedoni wouldn't leave, would he? Even though, like,
we need to. I mean, who knows with this guy?
Before I die, Fedoni's going to play tight end for Nebraska.
We need him to play tight end for Nebraska 1 year.
You made the list.
Marcus Washington, we got a few more first downs to point from him.
Who else is going to let us know we got a first down? The refs?
I never know, but he'll let us know for sure.
Pretty good.
Yeah, we want him.
I would Marcus.
Gabe Irvin, I love the guy. If we could just give him like 10 carries in a game, I'd love to give him 10 carries.
I mean, again, I want Irvin back, I think.
Yeah, give him 10 carries.
A.J. Allen.
Yeah, that's right. He's coming back.
You forget about that dude. That
dude was good.
That dude's there like, y'all remember me? I'm all that in a bag of chips.
That guy was.
You are all that in a bag of chips.
See, he's a tough one, though, because he came with the one coach.
Yeah, with Applewhite. So you wonder if Applewhite's like, him and Applewhite are going to like Thelma and Louise this thing, go to Chimney Rock and just like.
Yep. See ya. We're going together.
Doesn't make any sense. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
Why are they there? They killed somebody? Spoiler alert for Thelma and Louise, but you just tell me I don't. So why were they?
I can't remember which one was Thelma and which one was Louise, but Susan Sarandon, she didn't. No, she didn't.
I don't understand why
they started robbing. They started like robbing places.
Okay, and then they were gonna get.
Oh no! I think there was like a guy was like groping one of them. I think maybe she shot one of the guys.
And then so they were on the run for
some guy
murder.
was like going after her friend. So she shot this guy at some like parking lot of bar. And so then they start like robbing things and just
at that point they were like, screw it. Let's just go over the cliff.
just keep going. You know,
Is that how the movie it ends with them going over the cliff?
they drive off the cliff and it ends. Spoiler alert: the car in midair and it freezes. It's kind of a good movie, actually. It's pretty good.
Was Brad Pitt in that movie?
Yeah, Pity showed up. And
Pitt
all
showed
the
up, took
girls.
off his shirt, and they were like, "Check out the butt on that."
Yeah. No.
Okay. So AJ Allen.
By the way, can I tell you something? My wife last night, we're watching. We just flipped through. Saturday Night Live comes on.
Yeah.
And it's this Irish guy like doing this thing, and you know, he goes, "Oh, my buddy Colin Farrell." And Colin Farrell walks on, starts talking, and my
she
wife
was loving it.
was like giddy.
Oh my god.
She's like, "Oh my god, he looks just like he did 20 years ago." Oh my god, and I was like, "Down, girl, down."
Yeah, like calm down,
Easy,
calm it
girl.
down. Yeah.
Whoa,
Right.
like, whoa. You see, like, there's
I know.
certain guys
Right.
that can make women just like,
Yes, usually Brad
rub
Pitt
their
is
hair,
that,
like
yeah.
Pitt. Colin Farrell's got the,
On
got
the
the accent.
low-low, John Stamos, as my daughter Mave's gotten back into
Stamos?
Full House. Uncle Jesse has caused my wife,
So Jensen is,
but she likes a little more like
Manly
a little
man,
rougher,
yeah.
like because really Uncle Jesse's kind of a pretty boy. What's funny is he's a pretty boy, but he initially was like this bad boy. He wore leather and rode a Harley, but he would like no facial hair, like he was.
Yeah.
Made out as the bad boy, but he's not at all because he rode a
isn't
Harley.
really a bad boy.
No, but Stamos, yeah. Okay.
But Jensen's down.
She's
for
down
some
for Uncle Jesse.
Jesse.
She's down for some Uncle Jesse at this point.
Wow.
Uncle Jesse, great character.
Yeah.
Love him. AJ Allen, Thelma Louise with Brian Applewhite. We need to keep AJ Allen.
And then Teddy and Cochran still, in terms of the offensive line, got to keep them.
Before I die, Teddy pin you ass down is going to have all season of pinning people down.
Yeah. Noelle will be back too.
Yes.
Right? So he was penciled in as a starting guard. So basically, if you got those three, I mean, they haven't I think the best version of next year's line probably has, Teddy, Cochran at one guard and Noelle at a guard or a center, right? Like those guys are probably, I liked our year starting out with like Cochran and,
well, you don't
Teddy
want to
on
have
the same side.
Even whoever you bring in, you don't want to have brand new. I mean,
no. And then
there, like Henrich is coming back. Henrich
will be back. But now here's the problem. It's like Houseman's been playing so well. Like,
you even think about that.
Houseman is going to be hard to keep off the field next year. If you're Henrich is the team guy. Like he'll be a rotational guy. But like,
is Reimer done?
No, Reimer's got another year.
I think you need to make sure Reimer, Hausman, and Henrich are all.
They're all going to be playing. They're all
back too.
Yeah. You got, and those three might be on the field all at the same time, depending. I'd have no doubt that Isaac Gifford will be back.
Yeah, come on.
And he's become. I mean, I love
him. He had a great tackle at like the 2 or whatever.
He's gotten way better as he is now becoming a solid dude by the end of his first true year playing. So he'll be he's a guy that's sneaky, going to be very valuable going forward.
So here's our list: Palmer, Casey Thompson, Grant. Question mark. Does he have eligibility? We don't know. We want him back anyways. Hartzog, Garrett Nelson, O'Shawn Mathis, Ty Robinson, Quentin Newsom, Buford, Fedoni, Washington, Irvin, Allen, Teddy Penuas down, Nerlens Noelle, Nick Henrich, Reimer, Hausman, Gifford.
Yeah. So you can tell there's about.
But what's funny is we're falling victim to the same thing of like these guys won 3 games.
Yes,
but it's like.
But you want them just even if they're backups, like even if Hartzog has to be a backup or if Newsom has to be a backup or Farmer has to be a backup, like you want to keep them as a part of your team. You just don't want them to be like your best player, right? Yeah. So yeah, you want, Teddy and Cochran on your team, right? You don't want them to be like head and shoulders your best player. Yeah, we need now probably 4 other linemen that can play so that those guys are rotational guys. I mean, Teddy will be a starting tackle. But between Cochran and Noelle, maybe they get on the field if they get good enough,
Right.
Or, if Nelson, Mathis, and Robinson can improve more, it might be hard to keep them off the field, right? They've been good enough. But it's like it's going to be O-line. It's going to be some interior defensive lineman depth. Like you got to get a couple of dudes to help out Robinson. I mean,
right.
He's a guy that doesn't need to play every snap. He's good in bursts, but he had no help this year on that interior D line.
There's a lot of guys we just listed though.
But the DBs, we need DBs, Nick. We need like 3 other DBs.
I mean, you can go find portal DBs. You think? I don't know.
You can. It's hard though. It's just like hard to like. Can you find a true starter? Like, there's not that many true
running
starters.
backs and wide receivers in the portal.
That's where it's at.
Quarterbacks,
maybe, yeah.
There's a couple.
Yeah.
When you get down to like, option 18 of the portal, you're like, I completed a pass once. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. Some guy is sitting there looking real serious. He's like, welcome aboard. We got our guy.
What do you tell us about
We got our guy.
I completed a pass one time. Welcome to Nebraska.
We've got our guy. We found our guy. We found him.
Feel really good about it. He completed a pass. What can you say? Can't argue with him. But it's going to be...
I completed a pass once.
One time I threw one and it went where it was supposed to. What do you think? We got ourselves a deal? Look, we got ourselves a goddamn deal.
Now, I ain't never thrown the ball, but I sure did take a couple snaps back in high school.
Handed it off. No problem. Should have seen it. Pretty special. What do you think? We got ourselves a deal.
Damn right we got ourselves a deal.
But so you can find QBs. You're like the top 5 or 6 QBs. Find a running back, find a wide receiver. It's just the D linemen, O linemen are hard.
This is where, like, okay, we probably
even
need
linebackers might be hard.
Yeah, I think we're okay at like
you bring back Reimer, Hausman, and Henrich. It's like
we should be fine there. If Nelson comes back, I mean, Mathis, I feel like I just have no idea where I would
think he's gone, but I don't know what that.
Interesting. He's an interesting case, but he also, I think he made some money here. I mean, obviously.
Well, that's your point too. Like a guy like Garrett Nelson, it's like it might be more lucrative for you to go stay here for another year.
That's what I mean. Like I know he can make some money. That's where Trey Palmer could make some money if he's not an NFL, guaranteed guy yet. He could make a lot of money, but
it's hard for Palmer because he's probably going, okay,
I can make a lot of money in a lot of places.
Well, and he's probably thinking, okay, who's going to be the coach? Who's going to be my quarterback? Because he found out life with Casey Thompson was pretty sweet. Without Casey Thompson, his life sucked. Yeah, so
that's where keeping Mickey, no matter what,
right?
It's where you got to keep Mickey as the assistant head coach.
If Mickey's out, Trey's out.
Well, yeah,
Mickey and Trey are probably going to Thelma Louise. They're going to.
Oh, they're going
to be like, it's going to be AJ Allen, Applewhite, Mickey, and Trey Palmer. And they're all they're going to go over the cliff together.
Back to LSU. Just keep going.
Just keep going. So that's a lot, but it's important guys to keep in the fold here. That's going to happen quick. I know it's like, geez, guys, you got one more game. But these things got to be like, you got to get your ducks in a row right now.
And Nick, it's going to happen fast too. I mean, this is like we got 2 weeks, and then I think is that portal window start.
It was December 5th.
Yeah, I mean, so it's 2 weeks.
So I mean, that's 3 weeks. 3 weeks from pretty much 2 weeks. 20th today. 2 weeks. It's on and popping, dog. It is on and popping. Anything else we're missing with that game?
I'd say that I've done a podcast once.
I've done it one time. I one time played quarterback. No, I think we covered it all, didn't we?
I think we did. Nebraska.
Nebraska, not good.
Black Friday.
I
Iowa.
mean, I guess, do we have to, we got to find
it's a little Thanksgiving. We have to do a little Thanksgiving pod.
I remember one year we did Thanksgiving food power rankings. Maybe we need to do that again. And then we got to have our final coach pod. Like, who's going to be the coach?
We're going to listen to the rumors more seriously.
We're going to we have to make our official prediction, our official final list.
Yeah, because we've heard a lot of Rule. We've heard, Deion's been ruled out. Leipold and Rule have been the two big uns. Obviously Mickey still, but besides Mickey, God Country Option. I haven't heard much about
Yeah,
from
God
him
Country
lately.
Option has gone quiet on me a little bit.
Quiet. But yeah, I think right now between Rule and Leipold, it seems like is 1 and B in terms of front runners. And
So we need to have the official, like the pick is in, like we're sending in the pick of.
Yeah.
We maybe need to do an official pick of who we think it's going to be, and then maybe who we would want it to be. And it feels hard because we don't want to ever be caught into a situation where it's like, you said you didn't want me.
I think we shouldn't do that because they'll never come on the pod.
All right, so we won't do that. But we need to have one final, like, real hard coach pod.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we gotta feel out the rumors. We gotta feel out.
Yeah, we got to feel it all
what's
out.
out there.
All right. Well, yep. Nebraska loses 15-14 Black Friday. We'll be back. A little coffee or wine pod. I don't know. But
I will be on the road, so I might be zooming in.
Ooh, I like it.
Yes.
I like it. You can drink tea from your Zoom. Okay?
I will.
Okay. All right. Well, it's like you got to go to bed. It's 8:30 on a Sunday night. Let's go home and
Thelma and Louise this thing out of here.